you are a person who knows quite a bit about cars. Let's say Preetham here knows quite a bit about cars. Okay. He's like an automobile expert. Let's say Preetham has a very rich friend, Mr. Akash Ambani. All right, Preetham. Preetham, do you know Ambani's? Maybe he knows, he doesn't want to tell us. Anyway, let's say his friend is Mr. Akash Ambani. He says, he calls Preetham and says that, hey, Preetham, you know everything about cars. I feel like buying a new car. Which car should I buy? Now, what would Preetham do?
What is the purpose of buying the car?
What is the purpose of
Buying the car.
buying the
What
car?
purpose he wants to buy the car? Like for daily use or for luxury? Then the budget.
Okay. So you're saying budget to Mr. Ambani.
Here is money is a very different.
Ambani. I'm
That
talking
is
about
not a budget. Like in this particular scenario, we don't have a budget.
Okay. In this particular scenario, what are the complexities or what are the variables? Because any problem which doesn't, where you cannot identify a complexity, I told you, right? If you're feeling cold and the remote is there, then is there a complexity?
No. Budget is not a problem.
Is there a complexity that you can't pick up the, yeah, if somebody says, no, I don't have a hand, or if the remote's batteries are not working, then we say, yes, there is a complexity. But let's say the remote is also working properly, the guy also has hands, then you would say there is no complexity and hence there is no problem. Do you understand? If there are no variables, if there are no complexities in a problem statement, we say it is not a problem. Right? Now, as a good problem solver, you have to understand, looking at the situation and the context, what could be the complexities. Here, maybe in the classroom, there are 30 people. Some people are feeling cold, some people are not feeling cold. If you end up reducing the temperature or increasing the temperature, the two groups will revolt. Either of the two groups will revolt. Now we can say, yes, there is complexity. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Then you have to think. Is that making sense? Similarly, if you budget is not a complexity for Mr. Ambani,
Budget will
right?
pay constantly.
He doesn't need to go from point A to point B in that car only because he must have 100 cars. We all know, we have seen Ambani weddings, they have so many great cars, right? So there is no dearth of car to go from point A to point B. That is also not there. Now, like a typical Indian, you would say, sir, mileage kitna hai? Ye question ho sakta hai unka. Do you think Mr. Ambani, who owns refinery, the largest refinery of the world, will be worried about petroleum price? He has the second largest, I mean, this is the largest private network of petrol pumps in India. Is he worried about mileage? No. So what else could be the complexity here?
Category of car.
Sitting capacity. Okay.
Two car category.
Sitting capacity, I mean, okay, what else?
What is the
So
category?
airbags.
Airbags. Which car that Mr. Ambani would look for? I mean, how can you, there are no cars which do not have airbags. Is
So
the regulation now. 6 airbags have become standard.
So exclusivity.
Honda SUV.
Exclusivity. Okay, Preetham. Preetham is saying exclusivity. So what in exclusivity? Give me more. Got it?
So which brand of cars are rare to find in India and can incorporate features such as bulletproof?
Okay, very good. So what Preetham is asking is which brand of car in India that you can find which are very rare and has bulletproof uniqueness, right? Maybe that is it. Maybe the uniqueness is the complexity. So what I'm trying to say is that you do not stop probing the question unless you're able to find complexity. And even after probing enough times, if you don't find any complexity, you say that this is not a problematic situation. Let's move on. Do you understand? Or maybe something else is a problematic situation. Say, for example, let's say you have a cousin who comes, or you have a nephew or a niece who comes to you, who's just given 10th standard exam and comes to you, and she has received, she has gotten 98.9%. And she comes to you and asks you that, Bhaiya or Didi, I want to improve my academic score. Now, like a good Bhaiya or Didi will say, yeah, you have to study more, boss. Let's identify the classes, let's identify the subjects that you're weak at, and let's target it. Now, when you look at the data, you say 97 is the minimum, which is a human error, margin error, or margin of error in assessment. So now, does it make sense for you to actually tell that person that, boss, no, you have to study harder? Maybe you have to investigate why is that person not feeling confident. So it's not the problem of academic performance, but it's a problem of confidence. Or maybe it is a problem of something else. Maybe he or she has had a problem with girlfriend or boyfriend. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
But academic performance is not the complexity.
That is not the problem.
Do you understand what? So a good problem solver is that who does not take the problem by the face value. Is that making sense? Now, in the interview, what would happen is they may give you a problem statement, which may look like, oh, this is very easy. There is a question asked. You directly jump to solution. This is where you go wrong most of the time. A problem which looks very easy, if you jump to the solution quickly, that means you have not thought. You want to think, even for a moment if you have to, but you must think. I had a round with Google once in 2004, final round with the VP of product. She asked me, Pratik, the next round of questions will be rapid fire questions. I said, yeah, no problem. He said, I'm going to ask easy question, but you have to answer without thinking. But never do that. Rapid fire, you have to answer that, but never. You must think for a moment and then answer. Let that moment be a second. Human brain is very, very quick. 0 to 100 वो micro nanosecond में जाता है. It's very quick, but you must ask your brain to think. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? A question was asked to me. If 0 means 12 a.m., 1 also means 12 a.m., then 0.5 is what? One also means 12 a.m. Then 0.5 is what?
6 p.m.
Wrong हो गया भाई. 12 p.m.
Okay.
0 means, अरे आप लोग तो एक्सेल पढ़ चुके हो. एक्सेल में भी हम डिस्कस करते हैं. Is that making sense? So, point is, you got to think, even if you have to think for a moment. Does that make sense? Clear? You understood, right? This 12 a.m. is of next day. This is of this day, this midnight.
Yes, sir.
1 full day.
0 to 1 is 124 hours.
Full day.
So half of that is 12 hours, which is 12 p.m. The second question that was asked, if I remember it, that if in a computer keyboard, give me the top 5 keystrokes, high priority keystrokes, starting from highest to lowest.
Enter, space bar.
Most of the people will say enter. Some weird people will say control. अरे कितनी बार कंट्रोल दबाते हो यूज करते हो?
Enter.
What is the biggest What is the biggest?
Yes.
Everything else is a keystroke, but space is a bar. One space is equivalent to 5 to 6 characters. Why would any computer designer, keyboard designer give so much importance? Everything else is a keystroke, and space is like a king boss. You go there, you have a
Enter
bar.
space word tab.
नहीं, space, बाकी सब
Space
फालतू.
सबसे priority.
उसके बाद कोई मैटर ही नहीं करता. वो मैटर नहीं करता कि उसके बाद आप क्या बोल रहे हो. मैटर ये करता है कि यू हैव सेट द स्पेस फर्स्ट. Understood what I'm trying to say? But you have to think. Even if it has to be a moment, but you must think. That is the whole point of analytical problem solving. Okay? Mr. Ambani comes to you to asking for a car. Don't say that, what is your budget? I mean, that is the wrong thing. Don't say, okay, why do you want to use the car? From where to where do you want to go? Funny questions, right? He already has 100 cars parked. Just like you like buying chocolates, he's today feeling like buying a car. Relative terms. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? For an average person, it could be all these questions that could be valid. And once you have many points, you see, let's say I come to you and ask you that, okay, I want to take your help in buying a car. So you will probably ask me, okay, Pratik, what is the budget? What is the sitting capacity? Which brand preference do you have at all? What are the colors that you're looking for? What are the other features? What are the mileage, safety? Now, like a typical middle class person, I would give you 20 features that I'm looking for a car which is under 4 lakhs. Right? Now you would say that, no, boss, Pratik, hold on. 4 लाख रुपए देने वाले और तुमको ताजमहल नहीं मिलेगा. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So let's prioritize the features. Let's identify 3 to 5 most important features that you cannot live without. And within those 3 to 5 features as well, let's find out which is the most important feature, which is the second most important feature, third most important, fourth, fifth most important feature. Is that making sense, everybody? Clear? Right? ठीक है ना? So maybe you ask me this question and I say, most important thing for me is, let's say, mileage. Then the second most important thing is, let's say, budget. Third most important thing is, let's say, safety.
Then comes sitting there.
Maybe sitting capacity, that all the cars, most of the cars will be 5 seats anyways, right? So you don't give much importance to it. You say brand and maybe color. Is that making sense? But this order is also important. These are all 5 important features. But among them also, you must know which one is the most important, which one is the least among the best ones. This is called as
It will depend on like customer to customer.
absolutely situation to situation,
Like someone
context to
might
context.
prioritize safety first.
Absolutely, 100%. 100% that is right, that it will vary from a person to person, context to context. That is the reason why I said that if the personality is Mr. Ambani, then these do not matter to him. None of these variables will matter to him. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Maybe he doesn't want to buy a car. Maybe he just wants to buy something today, materialistic. Like my son says, I want to buy something. So if you give him a 5 rupees pen ka dhakkan, he's fine. But he wants to buy something. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? If you buy a 5,000 rupees thing, the moment the happiness period would be the same. Versus if you buy him a 5 rupee thing, the happiness period is going to be same. So now we have realized after having second kid that it's not about buying expensive stuff for the kids. It's about buying regularly. They want something new regularly. So you buy small stuff, but you buy it frequently. I get what I'm trying to say, right?
मिलते जाना चाहिए.
मिलते रहना चाहिए. That's absolutely right. That is the right parenting strategy. That is called as gamified parenting. For example, we take weekly assessments with you guys, and we give you results as well of weekly assessments. That is called as gamification. Not that we are going to do anything with that weekly assessment. Do you understand? But if you achieve something, you get your marks there, you get your name there, you get the marks. So it's a sense of accomplishment. Accomplishment. Why do we play video games? It's not like the video game is coming and giving you some money or gift or anything. You play video game because there is a sense of accomplishment, right? Similarly here, it is important to understand that in case of Mr. Ambani, maybe it is not about any of these things. It's just about he feels like buying something. So maybe you can divert him and say that, oh, instead of buying a car, can I recommend you a fancy bicycle? Nobody in the country will have it. Maybe you'll be interested. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? This is also called as first principle thinking. First principle thinking basically means that you're questioning the very basis of the problem statement. First principle thinking basically means that you're questioning the very foundation of the problem statement. Very, very basic foundation of the problem statement as well. Got it? Now, you see what would happen is if you, as I said, right, if you ask an average person, he would give you 50, 20 different things. So that is called as an umbrella list. You'll come up with probably a lot of constraints, a lot of variables, a lot of complexities. You may think that, oh, there are so many things that could go wrong or that could be complexity here. At this point of time, when you're collecting complexities for the first time, let anything and everything to be captured, which we call it as umbrella list. Then we prioritize the constraints. Then we convert the constraints into issues or main questions. What does it mean? Let's say these are the questions, these are the main constraints. So which cards are available under 4 lakhs? Which cards have sitting capacity of 5 and under 4 lakhs? Which cards are from these 3 brands and have 5 capacity and under 4 lakhs? Which cards from these brands have 5 capacity under 4 lakhs and have these features? So what you're doing is that you're converting the constraints into very specific, very, very specific detailed questions. If you're able to do something like this, then 80% of the battle is won. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? Then it's just about collecting the data and maybe giving them some weight and then coming up with some. So let's say, then what you do is you open your magazine, which contains user feedback for different features. Let's say these are feature 1 to feature 5. Feature 1 is the most prioritized important feature. Feature 5 is the least among these top 5 features.
This priority is important.
Mileage to color, right? Then you find the user rating. Let's say mileage for car 1 is very, very strong. So you give a rating between, let's say 1 to 10, and you say this is 9, whereas this is 8.5. This is 8. Got it? So if you notice, we have given some user feedback based on all these features. This is called as data collection, right? Then what you've done is that you've given them weights also. Why have you given them weights? Because feature 1, which is most important, will have naturally higher weight. Feature 5, which is least important among these top 5 features, will have lesser weight, right? So this becomes your feature list. And how did we find this out? We just multiplied 5 into 9, it became 45. 5 into 8.5 became this. Got it? And then this is the total of it. You can find total, you can find average, whatever you want to do, and then you can say, yes, this guy stands out. And maybe these two cars are very, very similarly rated. Is that making sense? So this becomes like a scientific method to choose a car, or analytical method to choose a car. Right? This is the kind of method that companies would love to understand. Is that making sense? Now, let's define this process. You see, the first step in any problem-solving process is to define the problem. And in define the problem, there are 3 things that we do. First, we create umbrella list of constraints. Umbrella meaning whatever items comes in your mind, whether they're mutually exclusive or not, you list them out. Then you prioritize them. That means from those several points, you identify the most important constraints, those top 5 features. Among that also, you have a priority. And then you convert them into very specific questions, or we call them as issues or questions. I am not able to pick up the AC remote because I don't have a hand. I am not able to change the temperature with the remote because the remote does not have battery. I am not able to change this because, of these 3 reasons, these 5 reasons. So those becomes the constraints. So then the question would be, how do I change the battery? How do I grow hands? Or whatever. The point is not grow hands, or it came out wrong. But what I'm trying to say is that you are converting the constraints into specific questions. Is that making sense? Once you have the questions with you, that means you have defined the problem. Once you have the questions with you, then what we do is we build hypothesis. What do we mean by hypothesis?
So it's a statement that can be tested whether it's true or false.
Absolutely. A statement, a speculative answers, you may say. Speculative. Why do we call them a speculative answer? Think about it. When you go to a doctor, right? The doctor looks at you and says that looking at you looks like you have one of the 3 things. Maybe you have viral, maybe you have flu, maybe you have dengue. So these are all hypotheses. Based on initial symptoms, he has analyzed and he's telling you that you have one of the 3. Does that make sense? Clear? Now, What does the doctor do then?
Prescribe tests.
He tells you to go collect data. In this case, the doctor tells you, go and get these tests done. Come back with the data. Come back with the results of the test.
Or he can ask for symptoms.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Symptoms and all, तो ये यहाँ पे देख लिया. That is how you identified the issue. Oh, you have running nose, you have high fever. These are all the symptoms. These are all the things that he has already seen. These are the complexities. You have gone to the doctor, that means there are some complexities, right? You will explain the complexities. The complexities are that, you're not feeling well, you have high fever, you have running nose, you have cough. These are all complexities, right? Based on these complexities, he is building some hypothesis. The room temperature is very low. That is a complexity. Or do you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? Then, once you have collected the data, that means once you have gotten the results, what do? You go back to the doctor who would analyze the data, the results, and then validate the hypothesis. The doctor will take the data, the results, and then validate the hypothesis. Validate the hypothesis meaning he might have speculated that you may have dengue, or you may have viral, or you may have flu. Now, he's now looking at the report, he's saying that no, you don't have dengue, you don't have viral, so you have flu. And then, once you have analyzed and concluded, then he will give you some prescription. You will take that prescription, meaning you will take the medicine. If the medicine works, problem is solved. If the medicine does not work, maybe you will call the doctor again, or you will visit the doctor again. It could be iterative also. You may have to go through one more iteration. The doctor would again look at your symptoms. And this time he would say, maybe we did not hypothesize for one more hypothetical scenario. Maybe you have malaria. We did not hypothesize, so hence we never tested it. So let's test your malaria as well this time. Is that making sense what I'm trying to say? Right? But initially it was not part of the hypothetical answers. It might so happen. Is that making sense? That is where a good doctor versus a bad doctor may come into the picture. A good doctor may say, looking at the symptoms, I believe, and looking at the temperature, looking at the weather right now, looking at the, what kind of other cases I'm getting, I believe I want to get you tested for malaria also. Now you say, sir, this is winter months, there are no malaria generally. He says, yes, generally there are no malaria, but there are cases which are coming right now, and hence I am suspecting. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? But it is suspect. He's saying, I'm suspecting. He can only validate that hypothesis once he or she has the data. See, this is why it is called as a hypothesis-driven data analysis process or analytical problem-solving process.